She has evolved into that really coveted space past the 5 year mark. And I was talking about this insane birthday party we have planned for her, where she's very popular. It was supposed to be 50 people, but now everyone said yes. There's 130 people coming to our home. I don't even know if we have space for it. I've ordered 3,000 water balloons, and I have looked and researched a water Gatling gun, not a water gun, a water Gatling gun. And allegedly, my wife says I'm a psychopath because when we did this last year, we invited elders, children,
Uh-huh.
parents,
Uh-huh.
and there's video of me just being a psychopath, getting everyone. I even got a blind friend because she was talking shit. And I'm like, you can't talk shit in my house. So I got her, and then there was a blind woman chasing after me. But I'm like, you know what? Rules are rules. And so now I'm this close to getting a Gatling gun, water gun that I might or might not unleash on children and the elders. Because, folks, if you go hard in the paint, you go all the way. So, with
I
all
love
that
that
being
for
said,
you.
good news. It's some good news, with all the shit
That's
that we're about to talk
amazing.
about. That my daughter's about to turn
Congratulations.
9, cancer survivor. You got to take the wins where you can. But Danielle,
Yeah.
we just talked to Lev about Epstein Files, how Democrats, he agreed with me, if they were smart, they would jump on this and increase the fissures within MAGA. I don't know if you saw, Roseanne went after Pam Bondi yesterday. Alex Jones is crying. You got Tucker. You got Steve Bannon. You also got the approval rating of the big, beautiful bill from hell, which is meow in the tank. You got Zoran's approval, which are going up, causing nervous breakdowns. And another thing that's going up, folks, in the last 30 years, the largest increase in measles. Yep, came out right here today because we have RFK as the head of HHS, an anti-vaxxer. Danielle and I have been warning about it. And as you have that, you have Donald Trump again applying a trade war with the bullshit formula, which is going to increase the price of everything. And I'm sure James Comey is being investigated. There's so much to talk about. And oh yeah, Linda Yaccarino has stepped down from Twitter, one of the world's worst human beings who was completely complicit with Elon Musk and his Nazi propaganda site. So we're going to spin the wheel, spin,
Uh-huh.
spin, spin. Beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop. Danielle, where do you want it to land?
Let's go to oh man. Let's go to the Epstein meltdown for 2000.
Go for it.
I mean, here's the thing with me and the Epstein files is that I don't know who thought that this was actually going to come out. Like I think that once I heard the audios from Michael Wolff last year,
Mm,
with his book Fear and Fury, and like whatever, he's not an exceptional human either, but like when I heard Epstein talking about Donald Trump as like, I'm Donald Trump's closest friends. We've been best friends. He's been one of my closest friends for 10 years. When he unpacked like what was happening in the Trump regime and like the kind of chaos that Donald Trump was creating. You
mm.
see all of the pictures, the images of them throughout the years. These are not just like pictures on the internet, are not just like, oh, from the 80s or from the 90s. They're from him with Melania. They're like recent photos.
Yep.
And so, and recent times. So when Donald Trump is at a presser and a reporter from, I think it was C-SPAN, asked him like about Epstein and these files not being released, and he lost his shit. And it was
Yep.
just like, why are you still talking about Epstein? It's been years since he's been dead, and he was a creep. And I'm like, he was a creep that you were all over. He was a creep who was in your house with your daughter, with your family. What are you talking about? You were on his plane. That's how you met your wife, your current wife, right? Who was a mail order bride. Like, like the incredulous nature with which he showed you in that moment, like, oh, this shit was never coming out. And the fact that Pam Bondi sat before Congress with a straight face and said that these files are on my desk, and now the bobblehead Barbie at the White House press secretary's office talking about, oh, when she said files, she meant all of the documents
Oh,
on the
oh,
desk. And
okay.
it's just
That's
like,
the
no, no,
latest
no.
one.
She
Okay.
didn't say the files were on my desk. She said the Epstein list was on my desk, right? And so let's be clear that as soon as I'm sure that they open to page one and saw that Donald Trump's name was there, and that even if we went through all of the redaction, even if we went through all of the things, it's just too much, and there's going to be no way to release this and have nothing come back. They were like, okay, scrap it. There's nothing. And then you have, who was it? Kash Patel saying like, oh, this is above my pay grade, out of my, out of my
You're only
lane.
the FBI director. You're only the
And
FBI director.
Sonny Hostin, I think, at The View was just like, out of your lane. You're driving the fucking car. What are you talking about? It's out of your lane. You're the head of the FBI. Right? So again, all of this backpedaling, all of the lying, all of the cover up, now for those that somehow, even after 10 years of watching Donald Trump lie, spin, do all of these things, are now finding themselves like, I can't believe he lied to me, Waj. I
Mm,
can't believe he didn't tell me the truth. I'm part of the faithful. And I think that that's what's really important. Not that we think that this is going to be the thing that cracks open like the cult that is MAGA, but I think
nope.
that it's important to understand the fissures that are
Yeah,
happening for the
yeah,
faithful that believed and put everything behind Donald Trump and believed that these Epstein files were going to reveal this Democratic pedophile, cudgel that has been happening. And the fact is, no, actually, your Messiah is at the center of this and has been one of the many spokes. And I said this yesterday on the Danielle Moody show. I said, if you want to see bipartisanship, it would be the Epstein fucking list. Like
that's right.
that would be the true
That's what
bipartisan
Lev said.
nature. And it would not only would it show you Democrats and Republicans and independents, it would show you CEOs and royals. It would show you prominent figures in every industry. It would be the great unifier, is what it would be.
We're gonna do because I only have Danielle for 20 minutes. So what we're gonna do is the rapid fire wheel of hell. And we're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stories quickly. I'm gonna give Danielle's take. I'm just gonna be the moderator. It's gonna be fun. We'll go back and forth. Speaking about bipartisanship and speaking about the bipartisan crackdown on the rest of us, I give you Zoran Mamdani. Spin the wheel. Beep boop, 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 beep boop. Zoran Mamdani is leading Andrew Cuomo and the other folks, and it seems like he is going to win. And Zoran Mamdani said the following: "This is what's possible when you listen instead of lecture and run a campaign focused on working people." And he tweeted an article from The Gothamist: "Why many Asian American Trump voters chose Mamdani in New York City's primary." Here's a quote from one of them: "Quote, I liked his policies. Mainly his support for education and affordable housing," said Shirley Wong, 70, of Bensonhurst, referring to Mamdani. "He seems to listen to us. But less than a year ago, Wong cast her ballot for Donald Trump. She cited the influx of migrants in her neighborhood as well as the cost of living under Biden. But now, Wong said she regretted voting for Trump, citing the big, beautiful bill's projected cuts to Medicaid. Quote, I changed my mind to choose someone who can help us. He just needs to prove everything he's saying." So much to unpack. I yield the floor to you, Danielle.
So here's the thing. I watched an incredible video that Zoran Mamdani's team put together. And it was them trying to do one of his on the street videos,
Yeah,
but that he
yeah.
kept getting interrupted by all of these New Yorkers from all over the place, wanting to take photos and wanting to congratulate him. And it was just, I mean, for those that don't live in New York City, it was just the perfect montage, young and old, black, white, Asian, Southeast Asian, queer, Muslim. Like it was New York City. And the thing that I've said about Mamdani and where Democrats could stand to actually sit down and listen and get a lesson as opposed to what he said, which is lecture, is that he's doing shoe leather retail politics.
Old
The
school.
man has broken outside of an office. He has broken outside of the focus groups. He has shut down the consultants, and he is actually out in the streets at festivals, at small events, big events, at conferences, at fucking bodegas, on the subway, talking to and connecting with people. That is called shoe leather politics, because you're going door to door and wearing down the leather in your shoe. That used to be the norm.
Yep.
Before you could then hire a bunch of overpriced, highly educated consultants that whose idea of being in touch with somebody is asking the waiter to bring over the sommelier to tell them what kind of wine they should have with their dinner. That is the mentality inside the Beltway. It is the truth. And so when you sit with those people, and I'm not saying data isn't important, but what's more important is actually listening and hearing real people in the midst of going about their lives, telling you what they need, right? And that's what Mamdani is doing. And that's why it is brilliant. And I think, and I've said this so many times over since his primary win, is that the more money that is put behind the Cuomos and the Eric Adams, and the more smearing that is happening of Mamdani, all they're doing is providing that man with free advertising and
Yep.
showing exactly what it is that he is saying and what he's been talking about in real fucking time. And whether or not he's successful, to me, is not even the point at this moment. It's the fact that New Yorkers are sick and tired of the status quo and realize that it doesn't matter what the Democrat or the Republican is saying. They're both taking money from the same people, which means that your interests are not front of mind for them. It is keeping their donors happy. And they are proving it every single day since he's won, right? And watching like Hakeem Jeffries skirt, why he hasn't endorsed him, and you're watching them use Islamophobia and use these lies in the same way that the Republicans have, but then tell you that there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans. I think that Mamdani has unleashed and unlocked something that is exciting. It is
Yep.
energizing, and it is people centered and people fueled. And at a time when people feel invisibilized by the oligarchs, he is putting them front and center. And that to me is like, you had me at hello.
Well said. And speaking about the bipartisanship, it's a big club and you ain't in it, to quote George Carlin. All these people golf together. They go to the same church and synagogues. They sleep with each other's wives. They're all buddies and pals, right? The DC to New York Amtrak Express when it comes to business and tech and media and politics, right? And if you don't believe me and you don't believe that Epstein client file, then I give you the attacks on Mamdani, where it's New York Times, where it's Bloomberg, where it's Lawrence Summers, where it's the right wing, where it's Bill Clinton, where it's Hakeem Jeffries and Gillibrand, who have yet to endorse Mamdani, but Hakeem Jeffries' brother just did earlier in the week. Gotta love it. They still haven't endorsed him. And instead of spending time telling everyone what was in this big, beautiful bill from hell, the fact that it cuts $1 trillion from Medicaid, the fact that it gives $180 billion to ICE, about a week and a half ago, they spent their time attributing to Zoran Mamdani a Palestinian, pro-Palestinian chant that he never used. And all of it's connected, folks, and I'm going to connect it for you in real time. This is why they pay me the big money, because the wheel's going to keep spinning, folks. And speaking about, that second half of that quote, where we talked about that 70-year-old Asian American woman who said, I'm voting for Mamdani because, again, the core message, he's going to make life more affordable. I dig it. But she voted for Trump. Why? Because of the migrants. Because Donald Trump and Republicans, as they always do, did the manufacture a boogeyman, and the boogeyman this time around was transgender people and the undocumented. And this 70-year-old Asian American woman, like so many people of color, what do? They get close to whiteness, asymptotic to whiteness. They're not officially white, but they'll become the enforcers of whiteness, right? The model minority. We're the good ones. We can't stand these other immigrants coming.
Yep.
These migrants are the bad ones. And so many people voted for Donald Trump, including a majority of Latino voters. And now I have two ICE stories for you that connect to exactly what I said and connect to the big, beautiful bill and the attack on Mamdani, the Islamophobia, and the racism. The first Beep boop, bop, boop, beep boop. ICE story. A growing number of U.S. citizens, many of them Latinos, are reporting that they were detained by ICE agents in what critics are saying are instances of racial profiling and overzealous policing. In one case, a U.S. citizen says he was in immigration detention for 10 days, according to an Axios story that came out today. That bill, folks, that passed gives $180 billion to ICE, which makes ICE now have the budget. It is the greatest military budget is the United States. And now ICE has the 16th largest budget, more so than foreign countries, taking ICE agents up to 10,000 agents. Right now, there's thousands of them terrorizing folks in LA, and 300 Marines were deployed on July 3rd to terrorize people in Florida. I hand it to you for this story.
Yeah, so here's the thing. And I just want to I want to go back for like 2 seconds to the Mondani story because somebody had said it in the chat, and I just want to lift it up. That New York Times story. Who was their source for that? A Nazi.
Absolutely.
In order to bring down Mondani. So when we
Well,
say
okay, but Danielle, before you go, just to make it even worse, what we know is that New York Times rushed that hit piece on Mamdani
right,
to beat another hit piece done by Chris Rufo, a bad faith right wing actor who weaponized anti CRT and DI messages. And furthermore, they gave protection to this Nazi, didn't use his real
yes,
name, and referred to him as
as
an
an
academic.
academic.
Continue.
As an academic. So I think that it's really important, like, folks, as you're here and you're supporting independent media and independent voices, that you also are shown exactly what it is that corporate media continues to do, because of the fact that everyone is taking money from the same people, right? So they have the same puppet master with the same goal of keeping the people oppressed, right? Like that's the thing. That's the linchpin that holds them. But with the ICE story, the fact is that, I go and I look at what just happened in MacArthur Park, right?
Mm,
And that formation and that practice that ICE agents were doing to show and create fear, to show force and create fear, that at any moment, at any time in our lives, whether you're relaxing in a park, whether you're walking down the street, that tanks can be rolled down, you can be thrown against a wall or picked up and thrown into an unmarked van. And so we're coming for you next, right? And I think that what's really important here is that, while these stories of buyer's remorse wash from Latinos, from Asian people, from Black people, from folks in your community, Pakistani community, while these folks thought that their money was going to save them, they thought
mm.
that their uh, proximity to whiteness was going to save them, and they now are having these stories of remorse, which like makes us kind of feel good in a way, like, oh, fuck you, I told you so. But the fact is that we're still here, right? So I don't really care about these stories that come out of people saying, like, I supported Donald Trump and now my wife is detained, or like, I supported Donald Trump and now, like, I don't know where my son is, and like all of these things. Like, you fell for the rope-a-dope. And
There
while
you
I
go.
want to say, like, oh, look, we're at the find out part of the fuck around, like, the rest of us didn't fuck around. So
Yep.
I don't need tanks rolling down my street, but that is going to be what Donald Trump and MAGA is trying to create as our norm. And what we need to do is what the Haitian community did most recently in Brooklyn, and what folks are doing, which is push back, which is fight back collectively. Because if they can come for one of us, they can come for all of us. And that we cannot get ourselves paralyzed by fear, because that's again what it is that they want. They want us to stay indoors. They want us not to go to the parks and not to go to the barbecues and not to go into our places and not to connect with community, because we're fearful. And if we just close our shutters and lock our doors and stay real quiet, they won't come for us. And the fact is that they will come for everyone. So the rule here is that the collective action and collective pushback is exactly what the fuck is needed, right? In order to stomp these people out. Because there are other reports, Waj, that I saw. Sky News, for instance, put out and said that ICE recruitment numbers are down. right?
Mm.
And why are ICE recruitment numbers down? Because people don't want to work there, and they don't want to know. People don't want to put themselves in a position where people find out where they work, and now they're being harassed, and now they're being tormented. They're wearing those masks not because they're tough, but because they know that what they're doing is fucked up, because they know that what they're doing is actually, being the aggressor and the oppressor in this place. So they are hiding themselves. Right. So I think that the best thing that we can do in this moment is create transparency. The best thing that we can do is put these fucking people on blast. The best thing that we can do is make having a job with ICE the worst job in the
Yep.
fucking world.
Yeah, make it toxic. Make it worse than herpes. No offense to herpes. Make it like if you work for ICE, you will never be invited to the community barbecue. You will never ever be invited to Thanksgiving. Nobody will associate with you. It's like the modern plague if you work at ICE, which is why they wear masks. And to connect the dots, which is what we do on Democracy-ish, I'm going to connect all the dots, going back full circle to how we started. Bipartisanship, the bipartisan support for Jeffrey Epstein, because he doled out that money, folks. And there were Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Donald Trump all partied with them. And bipartisanship when it comes to cracking down on Mamdani, who has an anti-broligarchy message, an anti-billionaire message, which is why people are freaked out on both sides, because corporate money has corrupted politics, and why they're trying to crush him. And speaking about people letting their fear and their hate and their anger and their desire to be white and think they're white, delude themselves into thinking they'll be protected by their proximity to whiteness, vote against their own interests, and the fear mongering that happened that Donald Trump did, right? Vote for me and I'll take out the transgender. Vote for me and I'll go after the
Yep.
bad influence. Vote for me and I'll go after the pro-Palestinian activist. And who cracked down on the pro-Palestinian activists? Who cracked down on Columbia University? Who cracked down on anyone who tried to criticize Israel during its genocide for the past year and a half? It wasn't just Republicans. It was also Democrats who also voted with Republicans to pass the Lake and Riley Act to go after the immigrants. It was the Democrats. And here is this story right now, because how are they going after Mamdani? Calling him a freak, a socialist, a communist. Also, again, attributing to him a pro-Palestinian chant that's been around for decades that he never used. It's all connected, and I give you this story that Prem Takar of Zeteo just came out with. Quote, a senior ICE official testified that the agency assembled a team in early 2025 to investigate not violent insurrectionists, not white supremacists, student protesters. The team, referred to internally as the Tiger Team, rapidly compiled over 100 reports based on a list of 5,000 people identified on the Canary Mission website. For those who don't know about Canary Mission, has been funded by a lot of right-wingers and pro-Israel groups to identify people who are critics of Israel. And then it has allegedly shared this dossier with the state of Israel. Interesting, which has resulted in some people not being gained admission into Israel. So Canary Mission, which, by the way, I think I'm on Canary Mission. I've been on there since I was a college student, right? They used to go after students to try to crush any dissent or try to crush any awareness of pro-Palestinian activism. Canary Mission made this dossier, identified 5,000 people, and then hand-delivered it to ICE. And now ICE has its own team to go after student protesters. And as I'm saying this, Zoran Mamdani is being smeared as an anti-Semite. He's not anti-Semitic, simply for advocating for Palestinians. And who has visited the White House this year? Who has visited America 3 times and was feted by Donald Trump? War criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. Danya.
And you know what I love the most right now, of the polls that are coming out, and for anybody that listens to me and listens to us know that I don't give a lot of credence to polls, but I think that this is really interesting because it tells you where, again, the establishment Democrats are, as opposed to actual progressives. And the opinions about Israel have shifted,
Remarkable.
right? From the last like 2-3 decades, the opinions about Israel and America being aligned with Israel have totally and completely changed. And Americans now, Democrats now, are more aligned with the Palestinians' actual self-actualization and self-determination, and their liberation than they are with the state of Israel. And what has happened too, Waj, is this increase in the nuance of understanding the difference between Judaism, right, and Zionism, which has been integrated, intertwined, for all of the wrong reasons and in so many ways. And now, not just young people, but Democrats in general are looking around and they're saying, this is a genocide. I actually don't need to have a degree in foreign policy. I don't need to have anything other than eyes and ears, right? And this is playing out right on my device, right on the device it is that you all are on right now. And so I think that what is really interesting, and again, you have to take this moment as what I said earlier when I was on with Jared Yates Sexton. You have to take this moment as the big reveal that the Republicans are showing you who they are, the Democrats are showing you who they are, so you get to decide who you want to be. Because when they are naked in front of you and you can see where their truth lies, you get to decide what kind of future you want and who you want to represent you. And instead of wasting our times hoping and praying that the Schumers of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that the Jeffreys of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that, the Slotnicks of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that the Pelosi's of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that you need to stop wasting your time on these people and actually support back and lift up those that are aligned very clearly and transparently where you are. And don't fall for the nuance. Don't fall for their ploy to get us back to a status quo that was never working for all of us. And I think that you can just see the shift that is happening right now just in this one area. You can see and you know that it's taking place all in all other areas as well.
I'll end on this because I know you got to run for your 5 p.m. show, and I have
I have 5 more minutes, Wash.
yeah. I have Kayvon Shroff coming on at 5 p.m. because I'm a masochist, and he actually is more in line with the Democratic establishment. So we're gonna have a healthy back and forth, but we're also gonna talk about how the old school model minority culture divides are not working with Zoran Mamdani, right? Why pitting the Asians versus the blacks isn't working? Why pitting Muslims versus Jews isn't working? And I will say this on this issue is Zoran Mamdani stood on business. When it came to Palestinians, he did not throw them under the bus. He was consistent on his messaging. And where Mamdani and AOCR is where the majority of Americans and young people now are in Israel, because they have seen a genocide streamed live to their phones. And this is where the majority of the world is. If you don't believe me, look at that festival in Glastonbury. You had Bob Villain and Kneecap coming out saying "Free Palestine," and it wasn't just a bunch of brown and black folks. It was a bunch of white kids waving the Palestinian flag. Once you've lost the majority, once you've lost the narrative, once you've lost the culture, Danielle, you've lost. And this is why, instead of evolving and adapting, what they're doing is batting down the hatches and, circling the wagons. And look at Democrats and Republicans when it comes to the bipartisanship, when it comes to courting corporate money, when it comes to helping billionaires, when it comes to the perversion of being associated with Jeffrey Epstein, and when it comes to Israel. Because AIPAC has given so much money to Gillibrand and Hakeem Jeffries and others, to this day, that's why, on one of the major reasons why they have not endorsed Mamdani. And go down the list, the unconditional support for Israel. When you had that mayoral race and the debate, every said Democratic mayoral candidate said, "Where are you going to visit?" I swear to God, folks, look at this video. It's amazing. It's like when you ask athletes after they win the Super Bowl, "Where are you going to go?" Disneyland. They ask them, "What country will you visit first?" Every single one. The first person said Israel. The second person said the Holy Land. The third person said, "It'll be my fourth visit." And Mamdani says, "I'm going to stay here in America. I'm the mayor of New York." And even Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, "That's the right answer." And folks, I'm old enough. Look at this gray hair. I'm 44 years old. This issue, when it comes to support for Palestinians over Israel, the shift that I've seen in the past year and a half, I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. The only other time I've seen such a remarkable shift within a period of 4 years is with marriage equality. The first Trump Obama administration, Danielle remembers, she's an activist, she's from the community, traditional marriage. 4 years later, Democrats are like, we love the gays. Yay, gays, marriage equality. What happened? Look at this, folks, a year and a half. The shift has been remarkable. Look at the Gallup polls, look at the CNN poll. The people are done with it. You cannot fool the young people. They're not having it. They're saying free, free Palestine. They're radicalized in this issue because they have seen a genocide in real time, and especially Americans. The reason why Americans have been radicalized is because they have seen this genocide, Israel's genocide against the Palestinians, done with the help and complicity of both the Biden administration and the Trump administration, with our weapons and our missiles and our diplomatic support. So this is why, even
Yeah.
though Donald Trump is underwater, the Democratic establishment has a favorability rating of 29%, the lowest since 1994. I give the final word to you, Danielle, before you run off to host your 17th show of the day on your excellent YouTube channel that people should subscribe to, The Danielle Moody Show.
Thank you, Waj. So, look, here's what I'll say, and I'll end with this because I do think that even though I am probably one of the biggest cynics, it is incredibly important for us to remain hopeful in this moment and to look at Zoran Mondani, look at what is happening in New York City, look at the people fighting back against ICE in LA, in Florida, in New York, in Chicago, and look at how people are coming together. Donald Trump wanted to create its silos. He wanted to create fear. And he is doing so. I'm not saying that he's not, but you have to look at the light. You have to look at the glimmers. And you have to recognize that people are not falling for the rope-a-dope anymore. They're not falling for the lies. They are waking up and seeing, wait a minute, who's fighting for me? Wait a minute. Like these people that they told me to fear, these people that they told me didn't work, but they're arresting them at their jobs. These people that they told me to be afraid of, but they're the ones that are making t-shirts that say alligator Alcatraz. Like these people, right? That everything that they have created. Oh, it's the Democrats are the pedophiles and we're the ones that care about children, but now you're not releasing the files. Everything is becoming very clear. And what is true is that the people still have power. There is a path to chart. There is a path to chart in this moment, and we don't have to lay back and comply and just take in the America that Donald Trump and this regime are trying to create. There is so much more that we can do and so much work to be done. But the great awakening that they were trying to stop us from with the book banning and the curriculum ending and the teacher firings and the this, that, and the other thing, all they're doing is radicalizing more people. It's not the trans folks that are doing the radicalization. It's not the Black folks. It's not the immigrants. It's not the undocumented folks. MAGA is actually doing the work that we have wanted for generations to do to wake people up to progressive values and make the people centered. They're doing the work for us. So stay hopeful. And yes, if you have not subscribed to the Damn Digest or to the Left Hook, please do so. This is independent media. Everything that we do is from the ground up. We don't take money from anyone other than the kindness of people that are willing and able to support us. If you can become a paid subscriber, please do so. And also YouTube, where I'm going to be live at 5 p.m. on my YouTube channel.
And
And
I'll be back in about 8, 9 minutes with Kayvon Shroff to see if the Democratic establishment can be reformed or whether or not it should be culled. And folks who watch us, we're not interested in restoration. We are interested in reformation. We'll be back live 12 p.m. Friday for another episode of Democracy-ish, which you can see on our Substacks and also on Danielle Moody's YouTube channel. Become a free subscriber to Danielle's YouTube channel. She's at 26,000. We're trying to get her to 30.
I'm at 27.4.
Whoa, that was huge. Okay, great. A huge burst. So we're trying to get her to 30, folks. That's just how it works. That's how the algorithms work. And again, like we said, there's no paywalls on any of our stuff because we're fools. So at the very least, please become a subscriber, a free subscriber. And if you have a few bucks, please, we're like Oliver Twist. Please, please give us some money, please. Danielle, thank you so much for accommodating me. I will see you on Friday. And go over and watch your show in 8 minutes. And I'll be back, folks, in 8 minutes as well. Take care, everyone.
Bye.